Finally, did you have him perform what's called the one-leg stand test?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is that test?
Simply, you ask the subject to raise either foot, whichever one they would prefer, about 6 inches off the ground. You tell them, ask them to keep the foot parallel to the ground, and you have them count out loud, 1001, 1002, and then you just keep track of 30 seconds.
You keep track, or the defendant keeps track?
I keep track.
All right, so did you instruct him on what to do?
Yes.
And did he appear to understand those instructions?
He did.
Were you also demonstrating it as you were instructing him?
Yes.
Could you describe what you observed at that time?
I asked the subject to begin, and he did. And during the test, he did have to lift his arm more than 6 inches to keep balance. He touched his foot to the ground 3 times, in which case I just said he was not able to perform the test.
Is there anything you need to be concerned about before conducting any of these 3 tests? You mentioned the eye issues and possible injury, but on the walk and turn or one-leg stand, is there anything that you need to be concerned about?
On the divided attention tests, I did ask him if he has any physical ailments. I asked him how his legs in particular were, because he looks like a healthy young man, and he said that no, he doesn't have any issues at all medically. And
based on all of your training and experience, can you determine whether a person is impaired through his or her performance on the standardized field sobriety tests?
Well, those things added to what I observed during the interview, and then his inability to really safely operate the motor vehicle. So it was at that time that I determined that he was under the influence and arrested him for driving under the influence.
Do you arrest for just one sign of impairment?
Pardon me?
Do you arrest for just one single sign of impairment?
No, it's the totality. It's everything considered, together.
After administering all these three field sobriety tests, what did you do?
I placed the subject in handcuffs and walked him back to my car.
Did you, based on all your training and experience and what you observed, driving, physical appearance, odor, performance on the field sobriety test, did you form an opinion at that time as to whether he was impaired by alcohol and driving under the influence of alcohol?
I'm going to object to this question, as it is the ultimate province of the jury to determine that.
I'll overrule the objection. You may answer, sir.
Yes, at that time I determined he was under the influence. That's why I arrested him.
Were the standardized field sobriety tests and even part of the driving recorded on an in-car camera video?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you had an opportunity to review that video since this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Earlywine, we're at our mid-morning break, so I'm going to ask that we allow the jurors and the other participants to stretch their legs, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you.